I can't believe it. As a matter of fact, when Bill Steck contacted me here, I don't know, a month or two ago about it, it was one of the things where I just sat there and I had to count backwards, and I'm like, holy shit, am I old? But um, but no, it doesn't seem like it. The stadium it hasn't changed at all. I don't think I've been back here for 4 or 5 years, so to come back now and look at it, it looked the same basically except for the wall being moved back. I've read about that, but the place looks almost as nice today as it did 30 years ago.
Um, I've told the story about Johnny Oates walking me out in December of '91, telling me that I was going to pitch the first game here. What I think about is after like a month into the season, how my wife told me, who, I mean, we'd have been in the big leagues for, I don't know, my first year in the big league was '76, how the stadium was so fan friendly, how the seats were phenomenal, how everything was angled towards the action rather than, a lot of the older stadiums, the seats were angled towards center field, and you saw the crowd, everybody turned around. They were always having to look back. Um, this was the first ballpark my wife was ever at where they could plan their family dinner around being here. It wasn't like old stale hot dogs and popcorn and what of that. I mean, you could actually have a great meal here. Um, I think now what dawns on me is my grandson, since he was 3, his favorite team has been the Orioles. He's always loved the color orange. He literally told me at the beginning of the season in April, we probably watch 3 or 4 Oriole games a week. If we're not watching a Cub game, I still do TV for them. But he told me in April, he goes, Gramps, this team's a lot better than what people think. He's 9 years old. I mean, he was talking about Cedric Mullins being 30-30. I was supposed to come back here and do a series for the Cubs earlier in the season, but several people around me had contracted COVID, and to protect everybody, I had to bail on that series. But did a lot of preparation for it. As happy as I was in '92, I too remember what the fans were like over at Memorial Stadium. I played with Cleveland, as you guys know, in '82 and '83, a little bit of '84. I came there. The enthusiasm was off the charts. The Baltimore Oriole fan reminded me a lot of when we went to St. Louis. When you come in as a visiting team, how the fans would applaud a great play. They knew the game of baseball. And I just remembered that about that crowd there. And I got excited about the fact that that crowd and those fans were going to get the opportunity to come watch a ball game. Memorial Stadium wasn't beautiful. The clubhouses, there was a lot of things that had a lot to be desired. I don't think there was anything about this ballpark that they didn't think of. And now those same fans that were here 30 years ago, they got an exciting team to watch once again.
Rick, that kind of led me into my question back here. Just you speak of the fans, knowing that now it appears like your son predicted that the
Grandson, yeah.
I'm sorry, your grandson predicted that their fortunes are turning around. How nice do you think it is for the fans now in this ballpark to be coming to see the product that's on the field now?
Yeah. That's a great question. I think about the excitement of the people just a few minutes ago that got a bat and a baseball and a photo sign. I don't know that when I was here 5 years ago, I don't even know that they would have claimed those prizes. You know what I mean? I mean, it was like there wasn't a player that you could fall in love with. You didn't, you knew with the division that the Orioles were in that, it was going to be a tough year. I have said over the last couple of months with the preparation I did, if you could have any lineup in baseball right now, not only talking about now, but looking forward, in my opinion, and it's just one person, but I've been doing ESPN for 27 years now. This year ESPN, to finish it, they all they're doing is a Sunday night game. I told them 20 years ago when I started with them that I wasn't going to give up my weekend. I was gone for a lot of weekends when our daughter grew up. I'm not going to miss that with my grandkids. So I'm doing television for the Cubs now and everything. But I mean, I said it on the air on the Marquee Sports Network. If I could have one lineup in baseball right now, and I just went to the game the other night with Soto and Bell in San Diego. I know what the Dodgers have. I was there for the All-Star game. I know what the Yankees have done. I would take the Oriole lineup right now. And I was devastated. My grandson was crushed when they traded Mancini. I'm a cancer survivor, as a lot of you guys know. I know that was a big voice, or that was – I don't know what kind of voice it was in the clubhouse, but I know that there was leadership there that a lot of people went to. But I also know with all the great talent and, you know, the young kid at third, Urias, the young kid Nevin, those guys need at-bats. And I don't know yet. I mean, I'll talk to Brandon Hyde and I'll talk to Mike about what the reason was for the trade. But I think they're just creating more at-bats to create an opportunity for this offense to get even better. I know they got a couple of young pitchers back from Mancini. I know for Mancini, I knew they wouldn't give them away. But I just think that the excitement and what they've done this year just continues to get better.
Rick, you've been in a lot of the newer parks that were built since then. How does this park stand up and compare with, you know, a lot of the newer parks you've seen?
I think Chris nailed it. Literally just walking around a little bit before we came up here. I mean, it really does. It looks like it did when we first got here. The way it's been kept up, just how the design, from when they did it probably 32, 33 years ago, I mean, it's still the game plan. It's still the floor plan that everybody tries to achieve, to create the person from the front row to the final row down the left field line. I mean, it's a great seat. It's a great view. I just think that, you know, I know what Lucchino did here. I know what he did in San Diego. And I don't think he felt like he made any mistakes here that he wanted to rectify in San Diego. I mean, if you've been to that ballpark, it reminds you a lot of what has gone on here. And a lot of the newer parks have just, all we got to do is recreate what they're doing here. Yeah, when you go to San Francisco, you got the Bay. You know, when you go to Petco, you know, the water's just right around the corner. You got some different environments where it was built, but I just don't think you can do any better than what they've done here. Now, I ain't gonna lie, and it wouldn't have mattered to you because when you hit it, it didn't matter how far that fence was back or forward. But you know, I had Devereaux and Brady Anderson going over the wall. I mean, it seemed like every 5 days, you know, to try to save me from giving up a home run. It would have been my career ERA took a beating while I was here, but it didn't matter. You know, I enjoyed every moment of it.
I got a question for both you guys, almost in a different sense. But Rick, when you got here, you had Messina and McDonald starting, and you just come off the 8-9 season. During your time here, this team was in the LCS and really had a chance maybe to pitch away even from getting to the World Series. But as nice as this stadium is, it's never seen a World Series game. How disappointing is that to you guys that this has never hosted a World Series game? And also, what do you think it'll be like when and if it does?
Well, for me, it's very disappointing. I mean, we were close a few years, and you know, it's disappointing in itself when you know that you have the team to do it, and you go wire to wire, and then you don't do it. And I think that we had the team to beat, and unfortunately, we weren't there in the end. But yeah, I think this place is going to go crazy when they actually do. I mean, the fans of Baltimore, like Rick said earlier, I mean, they're second to none, and they know their baseball, and they understand it, and they would know what they're getting if they ever got to that point. So, you know, it would be something I think that not only the current team but teams in the future, obviously that's what you play the game for, is to get into a situation like that. And we just came up short a few times, but I think that the fans here of Baltimore would go absolutely crazy if they were actually able to host a World Series game.
I think the big thing for me was, as you guys know, in '91, Cal won the MVP as the best player maybe in the game, but the team finished last. In 1992, the only thing they really acquired was a 36, 37-year-old guy that the Chicago Cubs didn't want anymore. I'd come off shoulder surgery. Nobody really knew what they were acquiring. I think Johnny Oates had a pretty good idea, but I didn't even know what to expect. But I know that, before the '92 season, Toronto acquired Jack Morris, arguably the best pitcher in the game. What they were building towards. We were right there with them on September the 1st. And when you go back and look at some of the other things they acquired, they made great trades to bring in guy David Cohn, Ricky Henderson, right on down the line. I don't know if it was our front office that wouldn't spend the money to give us that little boost to get us to where Toronto ended up in '92 and '93. I also know that part of it is to trade for guys like that, you need to have guys in your farm system that those teams want. And I don't know, maybe the Orioles didn't have. I know we had McDonald and Mussina in the big league. You're going to start right off the bat wanting one of those guys. I just know that in '92 and '93 we had a chance. We played great defense. We had a lockdown bullpen. We could run Big Ben and Mussina out there with anybody. We had a chance. But, when you look at teams now, look at what happened just a few days ago with that deadline. Look at, Juan Soto going here and guys like that. For whatever reason, in '92 and '93, the Orioles weren't able to do that. And I think that probably took the first chance away from people to see a World Series here at Camden Yard.
What do you guys remember from the first game?
I had 103 fever, and I was throwing up in the clubhouse. Some of you know that we played a benefit 2 days before at RFK, and after the game they had some submarine sandwiches there. And, I remember I was laying on one of the trainers' tables, throwing up in a bucket before the game, and the guy beside me that was doing the same thing that had a fever of 104 was Cal Sr. I mean, it was doubtful whether he was going to be able to go out and coach third. And, I remember Johnny Oates coming in there, and I remember somebody said to him, man, I don't know if he's going to be able to make it or not. And Johnny goes, he'll make it. Like, I'm not going to let a little fever or something get away. I didn't feel the best, but when I went down to warm up, I was fortunate that it was kind of overcast and it was cooler. So it wasn't like, a typical day in August where, I might lose, 10 to 12 pounds throwing 9 innings. So, and I had learned in spring training too. I had seen the curveball of Greg Olson. And, going out there for the 8th and the 9th inning, I knew if the tie and run came to home plate that it wasn't going to be me that faced it. You had to keep it clean for an opportunity to go 9 innings. And but it was a comfort zone knowing that you had the big right-hander down there in the bullpen that could come help you out if you needed it.